Well, it's official. That was a nothing burger. Welcome in Broncos country to the Broncos Breakdown by Chat Sports. My name is Moose. And if you joined us during our live edition of the NFL trade deadline in 2025, you would probably be as disappointed as me. I'm not going to go as far as to say the Broncos did something wrong. I'm not going to say that this team is worse off now than it was, because the truth is nothing's happened. This team has not changed whatsoever. We're going to break down everything that happened in the 2025 trade deadline, what it means for the Broncos going forward, and what this means basically for the state of the Denver Broncos heading into 2026 and beyond. This is, of course, why you hit subscribe. We, by the way, are 100 subscribers away from our next big milestone. Let's see if we can get there before the start of Thursday Night Football this coming Thursday against the Las Vegas Raiders. 112 loyal Broncos fans. Hit that subscribe button right now. So I think it's important to start off by talking about the Denver Broncos as a whole. Like I said, this team didn't get worse. It obviously didn't get better, but based off of the statements that Sean Payton made, based off the statements that Bo Nix made, they clearly weren't that interested in making another addition to this team. Despite all of this, we're still 7-2. We're first in the AFC West. We don't have that much cap space. Obviously, that will change in 2026. And we are one of two teams in the NFL with an active 6-game winning streak. Us and the New England Patriots. But I think just as many Broncos fans did, there was an opportunity to go out and make a really big splash move. They did not. Jaylen Waddle was available. Garrett Wilson might have been available. Deebo Samuel was the name that was thrown out. There were plenty of players that you could have gone out and made a move for. But according to Zach Stevens, who is very close to the team, from his understanding, they looked into making moves but didn't force anything. Now, I will also go be the first one to admit, because I know that there's a lot of fans that want to see me acknowledge their correctness. And I'll be the first one to say, I was wrong. I thought the Broncos were going to go out and make a move. I didn't necessarily know if it was going to be for Jaylen Waddle. That's what we heard this morning from the People's Insider, Ricky Scoops. That's what we heard from guys like Jeremy Fowler. That's what we heard from guys like Ian Rappaport, that the Broncos could be one of those teams that makes a holy crap move. But I was wrong. The Broncos didn't do anything like that. In fact, according to all the sources that I'm seeing, it was almost passive, that they were calling to see what the availability was, but they weren't going to force any issues. Zach Stevens echoing that sentiment. Obviously, there is one big elephant in the room. The Indianapolis Colts, the team that is currently the number one seed in the AFC, added Sauce Gardner. Now, you could look at this one of two ways. You could say they overpaid for a cornerback, and you're probably right. Could you imagine what Pat Surtain would get if Sauce Gardner got this? Holy moly. Or you could look at this like this and say the Indianapolis Colts recognize what they've got right now in their roster, and they're continuing to add to this team to even stretch that Super Bowl window a little bit further. But again, that's a defensive move. The Broncos were in the offensive weapons category. They were going to look to buy a tight end or a wide receiver. Well, we do know that a couple of wide receiver moves were made. Jakobi Meyers, who you don't now have to, who you now don't have to play on Thursday Night Football, is now a Jacksonville Jaguar. You will play him later on this year. I believe it's in it's either 14 or 16, one of those two. I'm going to go on a limb and say 16 real quick, just off the top of my noodle. But the Raiders end up moving forward for the rest of the 2026 draft and beyond, getting off of a player like Jakobi Meyers. I'm not worried about the Raiders. I'm not worried about the lack of talent that the Denver Broncos have on this team, because there is not a lack of talent, period. This team is really good. We'll talk about it a little bit later. But George Paton, I thought this was pretty funny. One Broncos Twitter account put this out just a little bit ago and basically just said, George Paton was like, fuck them trades. We don't need that. And look, again, you could look at this one of two ways. You can be really upset with the moves that weren't made, or you can look at this in a positive spin, which I'm starting to now kind of view in a little bit, or not a little bit, in retrospect, is that George Paton and Sean Payton believe highly enough in this team to go out and make a deep playoff push heading into the latter half of the 2025 NFL season. So I'm not so upset the Denver Broncos didn't make a move. I know during the live stream I was like, oh, I really wanted to see something. Selfishly, as a content creator and as a huge fan of this team, yes, would I have liked to have seen a big splash move being made? Of course I would. But now looking back after the dust is settled and has a little bit more calmer heads have prevailed, am I that upset about it? Am I really devastated? No, of course not, because the team hasn't changed. We're going to break down a little bit more about the 2025 trade deadline, what it means for the Broncos here in just a little bit. Now, before I do that, got to tell you about today's sponsor, and that is our friends over at Omaha Steaks. I'm almost 30 years old. I'll be 30 in 3 months. And like clockwork, every single birthday, every time I make a trip around the sun, my aunt sends me a box of Omaha Steaks, and they are fantastic. But it's not just steaks. You get a wide variety of different options as well. You can get mouth-watering burgers. You can get savory things like wings, Philly cheesesteaks, and enjoy grass-fed, grain-finished, extra-aged, USDA-certified tender steaks with our friends at Omaha Steaks. They offer unrivaled quality and variety in every bite. Is backed by their 100% guarantee. Every steak is perfectly aged to maximize tenderness and hand-cut by master butchers in America's heartland. They also carry, like I said, mouth-watering burgers, chicken, pork, seafood, plus delectable desserts. Make game day delicious with the official sponsor of tailgating. Visit omahasteaks.com and get $35 off with promo code NFL Daily at checkout. That's omahasteaks.com and promo code NFL Daily, NFLDAILY at checkout. Terms apply. See site for details, all of that in the comments and description of today's video. So Mike Kliss came out and said that Payton had claimed at his most recent press conference right after the trade deadline ended and looking forward to Thursday Night Football against the Raiders that Payton goes, we like this group and we like where we're going. There's no doubt in my mind that the Broncos didn't need to revamp their entire roster. They didn't. This is a really good football team. The only one splash play that I really wanted to see happen was adding another certified weapon to an already very capable Denver Broncos wide receiver depth chart. And I say capable because is it the best in the NFL? No. Is it the worst in the NFL? Obviously not. Now, is there a bit of a drop problem right now? Sure there is. Is there a little bit of a timing issue with Bo Nix on deeper throws? Of course there is. But I think what you're seeing from Sean and George and Bo is a belief in the players around them, the development of talent in this Denver Broncos locker room. Now, there's another name floated out there, Rashid Shaheed, because I'm sure you're wondering, what about the deep threat, Moose? We still don't have that guy, that stretch the field guy. Well, Marvin Mims is a really fast player. I think he's better with the ball in his hands than he is as a true certified deep threat like Rashid Shaheed, but look what the Saints got, a 4th and a 5th. Now, again, the Denver Broncos have 10 draft picks heading into 2026. That is a massive amount. It is going to be an incredibly active draft so far at this point. But there were some players you could have gone out and gotten. Waddle, Njoku, Wilson, Deebo Samuel. I wouldn't have wanted Deebo nearly as much, but these top 3 guys would have moved mountains for the Denver Broncos. Just didn't come to pass. That's the way it is. Now we've got to look forward. We've got to look forward with the players that are still currently on this roster, the development of players like Evan Ingram, the development of players like Troy Franklin, Marvin Mims, and Pat Bryant, because this team is exceptionally good. Really, really good. This is still a Super Bowl contending team. This defense, the progression of Bo Nix, the dominant clutch play in the fourth quarter, there's a lot to be really excited about. I'm not upset with George Paton. I'm not upset with Sean Payton, although my previous actions might have dictated that. Like I said, the dust has settled. I still believe in this GM. He's made the right moves where he's needed to make the right moves. He's signed the players to team-friendly contracts. We've got an unbelievable all-time defense, and now it's looking forward to the second half of the 2025 NFL season. Raiders, Broncos, Thursday night. We will be live for you. Join the ever-growing family. Hit that subscribe button. Like today's video. Click that bell icon. Select the all notification. And as always, Broncos country, I will see you tomorrow. A mile high salute. Be cool.